Nothing changes instantaneously. In a gradually heating bathtub, you'd be boiled to death before you knew it. Our Father, who art in heaven. Seriously? What the actual fuck?
Gilead doesn't care about children. Gilead cares about power.
Why does healing have to be the only goal? Why can't we be as furious as we feel?
For whatever man sows, so shall he reap.
Welcome to Above the Garage. Hi, friends. Long time no speak. We are so excited to be back at it and finally releasing the interviews that we did on set in October, now that the much anticipated final season of The Handmaid's Tale is coming out in less than 2 months on April 8th. So we thought this would be a great time to start releasing the interviews we were so generously granted. And that will take us up to April 3rd, right before the premiere. We'll be releasing 2 interviews per week, with most weeks being 1 behind-the-scenes crew member interview on Monday and 1 cast member interview on Thursday. This first week, we're doubling up on the awesome people behind-the-scenes interviews because we got so many good ones. So come back on Thursday to learn about how The Handmaid's Tale locations are found and procured with Ann Richardson and Jeremy Pinard. But today we're kicking it off at the top with John Weber, the president, CEO, and founder of Take 5 Productions, and of course, an executive producer on The Handmaid's Tale. It feels especially appropriate because John is also how we kicked off our 2 days on set, when he personally took us on such a fascinating tour of the post-production offices that morning. Since we couldn't bring you all with us, we wanted to tell you a little bit about the tour before kicking off his interview, because it was such a lovely visit and fascinating insight into the making of The Handmaid's Tale and how incredibly talented and kind the entire post-production team is. I just feel that that needs to be shared with the world. But actually, let me back up for 1 second. Kimberly, who was the very first person who greeted us in front of the studio that morning?
Maureen.
Yes, Maureen. Maureen O'Donnell is a publicist for The Handmaid's Tale and the absolute funniest, feistiest, most amazing woman we've ever encountered. And we fell in love with her immediately. She and Kimberly particularly hit it off. She, unfortunately, continues to stubbornly refuse to let us interview her, but you'll hear her voice from time to time on a few interviews. And please just know she's a legend, and she made our whole trip infinitely more enjoyable with her company and wit.
Yeah, Maureen is awesome. She made us feel so lovely, so comfortable, so welcome, and she made us laugh a lot. And
I was just going to say,
we wish she would babysit us every day.
she made us laugh so much. It was delightful. Still does, in fact. We still get to talk to her, luckily. Also, many thanks to showrunners Eric Tuckman and Yalin Chang for not only allowing us to visit, but lending us their office in their absence to conduct most of our interviews. That was very cool and very generous. Now on to yet another amazing human being, John Weber. As I mentioned, he's a very important person at Toronto entertainment. Not only does Take 5 Productions produce Handmaid's Tale, but also Wednesday, Halo, Vikings, Star Trek. Just take a look at their website. The list of popular shows goes on forever. But John himself took an hour out of his schedule to show us around personally. All right, enough from me. Kimberly, what was your favorite part of our tour?
Definitely one of my favorite parts was feeling super important and like a celebrity, being sat down in this awesome little space with a couple chairs and like a huge screen, you know, with John showing us a trailer of a lot of the Take 5 Productions works, obviously including Handmaids, and it was just amazing. I felt very important, like I should be like sipping on some champagne while watching this or something.
Yeah, where was the champagne, John? No, I'm kidding. It was amazing. It was this little theater room with, I think, 5 actual like theater seats.
Yeah.
Lights out, played the Take 5 reel. It was like gave you chills. It was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But also their offices are in like the cutest little buildings.
It reminded me of a cottagey like type of vibe street, but like with businesses and not houses.
Right. It was like a little village.
It was just really like chill vibe.
Yeah, it's really nice. But anyway, so you go outside, walk down a few doors, and then enter the Handmaid's post-production space. Once we got upstairs, we kicked off the tour in Sheila Hawkins' office. She's an executive producer in post-production, and she's the coolest. Do you remember those cute little hand-crocheted Handmaid's Tale characters she had in there?
Yeah, I really wanted to take them with me.
Did you? You didn't steal one, did you?
I didn't, but I really wish I had because they were so adorable. I took a photo. It's still on my phone.
Yeah. Then we got to go around to the editors and we met Aaron Marshall at his standing desk. The thing that stuck out for me from that visit was his line, "Sitting is the new smoking,"
That is a very good one, yeah.
regarding his standing desk.
I know about standing desks and stuff like that, but I don't think I've ever actually seen someone using it like in real life. So I thought
No?
that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's cool just seeing, everybody's actively working, obviously, on The Handmaid's Tale at this point. And then we got to meet Wendy Halley Martin, who we have interviewed after season 5, and I'm in love with her, and she's the very best.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was definitely one of my favorite parts of that visit. It was so nice to meet her after we'd interviewed her, and she was just absolutely lovely. And seeing her little workspace and knowing so many amazing episodes have been edited.
Right there. And she had it set
Yeah.
up to show us, like showing us the
Yeah.
sound, all the lines, and it was just really cool. It's unfortunate we couldn't take mics around with us everywhere because all of the conversations were fascinating. Talked a lot about the song choices in Handmaids, which are obviously amazing, and it's cool to hear how they were chosen and by whom.
Yeah.
The worst part about this tour and the whole first day of our visit was that Aubrey couldn't be there with us because she had a cat situation.
Cat emergency.
Yes, which has resolved nicely, but we missed you, Aubrey.
Yeah, thanks. I was going by Violet on the podcast before, just so listeners know, and my real name is Aubrey, so I'm gonna make the switch now that we have made friends.
Welcome to the podcast, Aubrey.
Yes, thank you.
You did get to see the Northern Lights on your flight in that night, though, so that was pretty cool.
That was amazing. Yes.
Yeah, makes up for a little bit of missing the first day.
Yeah, I came in on the second day and also immediately fell in love with Maureen.
How could you not?
Yeah. And I think my personal favorite thing was just when we were on set and just seeing everybody working together so seamlessly. And you can just feel that people really enjoy and have pride in their work. And they're just very excited about what they're doing. It just feels very collaborative. And, all the crew we've interviewed has said that, but you can feel it when you're there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and well organized.
Mm-hmm. And when we were walking around to costumes and just see the room where they're dyeing fabrics and beads and things. And
yeah, that was cool. I don't know that I realized the extent to which they actually dye their own colors and choose,
I know.
That whole room back there, was amazing with all the science. It looked like scientific experiments back there.
Yeah, chemistry.
Yeah.
Boiling pot of dyed water or whatever it was, dyed chemicals, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
It was just the detail that gets put into everything, and just seeing how it all comes together was really, really cool to see.
Yeah, costumes was incredible. Big thanks to Leslie Kavanaugh for arranging for us to visit her. We also had the great pleasure of interviewing her after season 5, and it was so nice to actually spend time with her in person. Another excessively cool person who took time out of their busy day to show us around.
Mm-hmm.
And in addition to costumes, we got to go around the makeup trailer with Burton LeBlanc and Alistair Muir, and we interviewed both of them. Burton was actually our very first interview, so it was really cool to meet him and hang out with him in the makeup trailer, which is the cleanest place I've ever seen. I mean, everywhere was clean, but it was just stunningly well organized, much like costumes. Anyway, everybody was amazing.
Yeah.
I enjoyed sitting at the monitors with Nika.
Yes.
She was fun, and just watching, the filming. It was interesting.
I could have sat at those monitors literally all day, like day after day. It was just,
Yeah.
It reminded me of being in film school, and it was really nostalgic for me. So I love that.
Right. Oh.
And just obviously loving the show so much, but
Right.
Mm-hmm.
loving the process of it too.
Shout out to Nika Castillo, who was amazing.
I love her.
The best buddy to sit with while watching the screens. She was behind the monitors all the time, and she entertained us between takes, and it was amazing talking to her about the show and also reality TV shows. And she was just a wonderful, lovely human. So thank you.
We love her.
Mm-hmm.
And her focus during the takes, she's got to make sure all the lines are, said correctly. That is hard. My mind would wander, but she was on top of it.
Yeah. She's basically the representative of all the writers. So it's a pretty big job to undertake.
Yeah.
And long hours, very long hours, I'd imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. We didn't even make it to the end of filming either day. It was late when we left too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, and then they gave us our own trailer for some of the cast interviews because they're obviously filming and it's right next to it, rather than walking over to the offices.
And we totally trashed it and left it in a big mess.
Sorry about that. No, we didn't, but it was cool having our own little trailer for a day.
Very cool.
And there's a lot of noises probably in those interviews just because we're on set, and actually I like that.
Yeah, add some realism to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One last thing, I just want to put an extremely genuine thank you out into the universe for every single person who helped facilitate this visit for us. It really was well beyond our wildest dreams, and we are more appreciative than we could ever properly express. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes.
On to the interview. Now you get to meet John Weber. You can see firsthand how kind and down to earth he is, despite all his success. By the way, he does have an Emmy and 6 Canadian Screen Awards to his name, in addition to one of Toronto's best production companies.
Literally the nicest human in the whole world.
He is. He's unreal.
So generous with his time.
Right. I mean, I didn't even expect, like, most people at his level would have sent us around with their assistant at best and not taken an hour out of their schedule and treated us like VIPs.
For sure.
And then given us an interview on top of all that. I just really cannot say enough about how incredible John Weber is. But you can learn for yourself now. So without further ado. All right. First of all, thank you for that tour of the post-production offices. That was amazing.
Thanks for coming here. It's great. It's fun to show it off and fun to show all the work of the people, contributing to the show outside of the shooting crew. So
it's incredible how much goes into it, and you have no idea. And then just walking through the office and talking to the sound, the songs, all of that was fascinating. But so tell us your role in the show on the day-to-day. I know you started Take 5 Productions, right?
Correct. Yeah. We started Take 5 back in 2008. We initially started on The Handmaid's Tale in 2016. It's been a long run. We produced 66 episodes of the show here in Toronto. So I was one of the initial people in Canada engaged on the show. Maybe the first. We were first contacted by MGM about the potential of bringing Handmaid's Tale up to Canada. And so we met with Bruce, Warren, Lindsay Sloan from MGM. They flew up here in May 2016. And we went and scouted kind of, all around the Greater Toronto area, looking for a place to establish Gilead in the world, that Bruce wanted to create for The Handmaid's Tale. And it's been an incredibly collaborative process with the producing team here. At Take 5, we produce a number of other shows here in Canada. We've done a lot of work with MGM across multiple jurisdictions, including, we did, I think, 88 episodes of Vikings with them over in Ireland, and co-produced that with them. So it's been a really great relationship we've had with MGM and Hulu for Handmaid's Tale, but also beyond that to many other projects.
Right. I mean, Take 5 has so many projects we all know and love, like Wednesday. My daughter was particularly excited. She was like, I don't know, just ask something about Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday, we initially looked at producing it here in Canada, and then ultimately the show moved to Europe, and we remained alongside that project as the post-production team here. So we do all of the post-production, visual effects, sound, music, manage all of that here for a show like Wednesday. And there's several other projects that are shooting in different parts of the world where we just oversee post-production. Handmaids is a little different in that we do everything, post-production and post-production.
Right. Yeah, I saw the announcement for the Institute. I love that Stephen King book, so I'm excited.
Yeah, another MGM Plus project that we're excited to be part of here. It's great.
So tell us exactly, as far as Handmaids goes on the day-to-day, you in particular, how are you involved?
Yeah, so I'm a little bit behind the scenes more. Our company is really here as kind of a production company for the show. We manage all of the Canadian production elements. We work very closely with the studio, and we work with all of the different pieces of production. Not as much on the creative side, but more on all of the infrastructure, managing the post-production, the budget, the schedules. We work to find studios and crews, deal with location challenges when we're trying to get into sensitive locations that sometimes are challenging. So we sit maybe at a production company level than a day-to-day on set. Yeah, I'm not on set every day. I'm actually rarely on set. I'll go to set to meet people, and obviously, extremely interested in everything that's happening, but most of our work is more managing kind of the back end of the production.
And you came into this industry through an accounting angle, right?
That's right. I'm a CPA. I started in the industry, it's hard to believe, over 30 years ago now. And a lot of the work that I do is more on the fiscal, the administrative, the physical production side of the business than the creative side of the business.
Was the entertainment industry a goal of yours, or just a happy coincidence that you ended up here?
It was just a happy coincidence. I didn't really even know what it was when I first finished college and got into it. So yeah, but it's been an incredible career, and it's Toronto and being in Ontario and Canada here, it's an amazing place to produce. The crews, the talent that we get to work with every day. They are literally the best in the world, and I'd say that probably with a little bit of bias, but also with the utmost sincerity,
Seems
having
true.
worked in many different places around the world. It's incredible the work that gets done here and the quality of the shows that are being produced in this city.
Yeah, and Toronto gets a lot of, I mean, even outside of these, I think Reacher's filmed here. There's a tax credit for filming in Ontario that is.
Yeah, there's actually
appealing.
a couple, without getting into too much detail, but there's a federal credit here that's given by the government of Canada, and there's also provincial credits that are offered by the province. And a show like Handmaid's Tale, avails itself of both. And it's a stable, it's a reliable, it's a bankable tax credit. It's something that the U.S. studios and people around the world know is going to get paid out. It's trusted. It's obviously a factor for every studio that comes and shoots here that you're going to, get an incentive and it's actually going to get paid out. So it's just a really reliable jurisdiction. And, having a Canadian dollar that's weak relative to the U.S. dollar and then having tax credits, obviously that's a key part for every show as they're making decisions on where to make it. And obviously, the show, a lot of it's set in Canada, and we've done a lot of Boston here in this area in Toronto. So it was maybe a bit of an easy choice to put The Handmaid's Tale here, and having Margaret Atwood and that piece and Canadian attachment to that too just makes it that much more fun.
You filmed Fenway in Toronto, we learned this morning.
We did film Fenway. We shot it in a baseball park out in Hamilton, and then obviously, we had to take the visual effects elements and go down to the actual Fenway, but we shot that whole scene in the winter out in Hamilton. It was really fun.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It's an unforgettable scene.
Yeah, there's been a lot of unforgettable scenes on this show.
It's
There's been a lot of them. Yes.
Yeah. What was the first show that you did get into the industry with?
When I first started, I worked on a Warner Brothers show called Kung Fu: The Legend Continues. That was back in 1995, and then I was working in an accounting department for the first 10 years and kind of moved through that. Ended up buying out a partner in a company called Dufferin Gate Productions. We ended up selling that company, and then we were producing The Tudors at the time that the company that we'd sold to went through some restructuring and ended up starting Take 5 Productions back in 2008. We've done a lot of work
Which
in
has
that
been
period.
Insanely successful.
Yeah.
Was it right off the bat?
No, it wasn't off the back. We were producing a lot of international work, so we were involved in a series called The Borgias with Showtime.
Oh, right, yeah.
And we were finishing The Tudors, which was also with Showtime. We did another show in Ireland called Camelot that we were co-producing. So we were doing a lot of these international series, co-producing them through Canada through kind of a treaty co-production model. And then as the industry evolved and as we as a company became a bit more proven and had delivered on some bigger shows, we expanded a bit more into producing more work here in Toronto and in Canada. So we've done a lot of work with CBS over the years. We're doing a few shows with Sony and Fox right now. Done a lot of work with MGM, probably our biggest client here across the board for the last 10 years. And we've got a couple Netflix shows under our belt, and we're looking to start another one of those. So we've been really lucky. The environment's been great. The industry's been great. It's been filled with, the last few years, as everybody knows, it's been a pretty bumpy ride between COVID and then strikes. But luckily, on the backs of having post-production, which hasn't been interrupted as much as maybe the production side, we've continued to be, thrive. It's been a good run.
Yeah. So your side of it wasn't affected at all with...
It was definitely affected, but I would say we were able to survive, survive and kind of manage through those strike periods. Yeah.
Do you notice a slowdown? Like, is it picking back up post-strike, or do you think we're still experiencing a lag of that?
I mean, it's definitely a lag. And I think that's not just for Toronto or for Canada. No. I think globally, we're seeing less content being produced. There's definitely a different approach from the studios and the financiers relative to budget. The budgets we're seeing are much tighter. Shows are being produced at different budget levels. I think all the way across the ecosystem, it's a different environment we're in right now for production. And there's a lot of positives that come out of that as well. I think a bit more kind of responsibility sometimes, and just it's going to be a new world. And we say that a lot on this production and on all of them. We're kind of in a new world of production right now. And we're starting to see, it come back. It's definitely 2025 is looking like it's going to be a more normal year, a bigger year, better. Yeah. And so we're excited, but the industry's definitely gone through a pretty, steep decline, and I'm sure you hear that in all the jurisdictions right now.
It's tough.
Do you ever personally, when things are filmed, not in Canada, do you ever go and visit the set, or?
I think for almost every show I go to, I'm normally over there at the beginning, just, maybe the last week of prep and the first week of shoot on most shows. I'll go to every show at least once, but for the most part, I'm kind of here in Toronto.
Pretty hands-on though, to visit every every show.
Yeah, it's a lot of that's about relationships and just
Yeah.
about making sure that we've kind of established and everybody's on the same team. You know how many pieces there are in a production, and it's great to have that FaceTime with our, the producers we're collaborating with.
Do you have any particular projects that are your favorite?
Handmaid's Tale.
Favorite, I mean, no, to work on Handmaid's Tale, honestly, it's been such a collaborative producing team. The studios, MGM and Hulu, they're so supportive. It literally feels like a family, and we've been doing it for so long together. And, we've got Lizzie, who's kind of the leader, and she just brings such a great energy to the show. And I just think there's challenges and there's problems, and it's very, very hard, but we always approach all of our challenges in a really open way. And it's been a really fun show to be part of. And obviously, commercially, it's been so successful, and it's so highly regarded in Canada, which is our market.
It's fun too.
Everybody talks about it, everybody knows about it. Our crew has mostly remained with us. It's a family.
Speaks highly of the
For sure. Yeah, it's really been fun. So I know we're talking about Handmaids, but if I was going to, put one at the top of the pedestal, that it's definitely a show that at the end of my career, I'll be super proud and super grateful that I was part of.
Nice.
Yeah.
I just have one more question on the production side. Do you see the cuts?
I do. I see as director cuts are released,
Yeah.
I'm one of the executive producers. It goes to the executive producer team. So yeah, we see the cuts as they come out. I watch every cut as they come out. I don't often weigh in creatively. We've got obviously a whole team that you met today that does that, but certainly I share my thoughts. And I always think it's amazing to see how far the show comes from the first cut when you watch it to what the finished episode works, and what post-production and visual effects and sound and all of those other pieces, and the collaboration of, the involvement of the writing team and all of the creative executives can just elevate the show so much from that first cut to what we actually, the audience ultimately sees.
Nice. Yeah, it's been incredible from our perspective. Again, like I said, like all the different pieces, discussing it with the people. It's mind-blowing how much goes into it, but it is amazing on television. It comes out well.
Yeah.
How many executive producers are involved in seeing the cuts?
I think it goes to all the executive producer team, which would include the showrunners and obviously Lizzie and Warren and really all of the executive producer team, I think, would see it. I'm not specifically sure the full list. Sheila or someone could probably better say that, but it definitely goes wide to all the
Is it
EP
mostly the
team.
showrunners that have more of the comments regarding edits to the...
Yeah, I'd say for sure that, the directors, the showrunners, Lizzie, I think all of the EPs would weigh in and provide, their thoughts on anything that they think would make the show better. And I think that's part of the collaboration that we've talked about, is that it's a really open team sharing ideas. No one's afraid to share ideas and anything that's going to make the show better. So I think it's a very collaborative process.
Awesome.
That's one thing when we've been interviewing people, they've all said the same thing. And they all love you, by the way.
Oh, did
Everyone
Oh.
we've asked about you just has like the nicest things.
When we learned we were going to interview you, we asked some people, and they're all like, he's very important and very nice.
Oh, they're so
And you
misguided.
don't catch
Oh
that
my gosh,
very-
they're
that's
just
a good
misguided.
combo.
Yeah, that's nice to hear. Yeah, I mean, I think in a way, my role is really just to kind of be managing, keeping everything together, keeping everything moving forward.
Pretty important.
Not getting in anybody's really way, but just being a support piece to try to make sure that the production's always moving forward and to try to clear any roadblocks along the way. There are a lot of challenges. We often have times where we just can't get into specific locations, either by nature of the project or
Is
just...
that one of the biggest hurdles you have, like locations?
Locations is incredibly tough. Yeah, and it's tough, the type of locations that we use on this show. Some of them are government buildings.
Yeah.
When we shot the whole funeral sequence in Brantford last year, incredibly challenging. We had to shut down almost the entire town. So that's when you have to kind of get the politicians involved a little bit and elevate that.
Is that
So-
you picking up the phone and talking to
yeah,
them?
that's something. And we're an established production company here. We have a lot of work here. And I sit on film boards within the industry. We deal with the politicians quite a bit. It's a big part of what we offer as a company and something that's important to us. And it's an asset when we actually hit those roadblocks that we can pick up the phone, get the Minister of Culture involved and have him reach out to some of the different jurisdictions and explain how important this show is and how important this industry is to some of the people in the regions and make it work ultimately. Like, this show is spectacular because of the locations we shoot at.
Yeah.
It really makes the show. So we put a lot of work into that. We've got the best locations team in the industry working on it, but they'll often come to us and say, can you help us just kind of open a door that maybe at the bureaucratic level was not open.
That's actually something I just thought of. Do you have to pay anything to film at certain locations?
Oh yeah,
A lot,
yeah,
I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, so you have to pay permit fees often, within each of the different municipalities where you're shooting. But a lot of the places, every place that we go to, you have to pay location fees too, and that can be extremely expensive depending on where you're going. And I'm sure you've seen the size of our transport unit over there, but it's a really big unit we have that goes with us. So parking, support space, lunchrooms, all of those other pieces that you need in order to house the 300 people every day, plus all the equipment.
Yeah.
We're a big machine when we move into any location, and that comes with a pretty
Do
significant
locations
cost.
not court you ever, just to get more?
There's definitely a lot that are super excited when we show up. I think when you speak with Anne and Jeremy, they could probably better answer on that, on whether they actually get courted. But I do know there's a lot that when they hear it's the Handmaid's Tale coming in there, there's a lot of people who are pretty excited to have us there. Yeah.
It'd be a good name to drop. But yeah, speaking of the Brantford, that's where the funeral was, right?
Yes.
Like, it's amazing to me, and I'll talk to them about this also. But like, just to look at that square and envision this like state funeral is
It was so beautiful. I mean,
It
when I
was.
say I go to set, I mean that was a day I was on set, and I still get blown away by the amount of work that goes into some of these scenes, and just the talent of all of the departments in terms of just setting up all those towers, with the TVs broadcasting it, and all of the set dressing in front of the courthouse there. Just the costumes are unbelievable. Like, that scene was just so powerful, to watch them actually direct that and play that out. It was just stunning and beautiful. And we literally shut down that entire square, which is the
How
center.
many days was it?
I think I don't recall, but 3 or 4 for
More than
sure.
one.
It was definitely more than one.
Right.
Yeah, it was
Had to
a
imagine.
big scene, but it was stunning, beautiful.
Yeah, and even the ballet that they like, I just assumed you'd taken a ballet that was happening and filmed it, but not at all.
No, totally choreographed from like the ground up, and
Right.
Lizzie's just so talented and amazing, and she was so passionate about that sequence, and it just came
out
across on the
beautifully.
screen. It was beautiful. Yeah, it was beautiful.
Do you watch the show yourself as a fan?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I would watch it even if I wasn't producing it. I think the storytelling is just spectacular. I think Bruce and Eric and Yelene and, as our lead showrunners, just what they've created is just such a fascinating world. And I think it's just been produced so beautifully. And the directing's amazing. The lighting's spectacular. Elizabeth Williams and her production design is, you can't compare it. It's been such a beautifully designed show all the way through. So, yeah, I would watch it for sure.
I was rewatching a little bit while I was packing, and I always forget it's actually very funny. Like, even though it's such a dark show, and it's often June's voiceovers in the early seasons, but it's funny, and I enjoy that
Lawrence
about it.
Lawrence came in.
Lawrence took
it up a whole.
Yeah, just has he was such a well-developed character, and just, you're right, absolutely comedic.
Yeah, and the way Bradley plays it is just like, it's so fun.
Yeah. How involved are you in casting? Just hear about what's happening, I assume?
Not involved in casting. A lot of the castings, I mean, we have a casting director here in Canada, and we have a casting director in the U.S. We are
Sharon
sent
Bialy,
choices.
right?
Yeah,
Does
in the U.S. And Robin Cook here in Canada. But it's, once again, a collaborative process, but we're normally told.
It's just
who they're
exciting news
casting.
for you when you hear it's coming on.
Yeah. And we always hear early who they're going out to,
Of course,
and it's really fun.
Yeah. We're excited to see Josh Charles join them.
It's amazing. Like, that's a great example of just this show, always elevating and finding just another piece that's just going to make it more compelling and interesting with some incredible casting.
Yeah. I mean, we were already really looking forward to the finale, obviously, the final season, but then hearing that just makes you,
It's just great.
freshes it and like, oh wow, now I'm even more excited.
Yeah, and I'm certain there'll be more along the way that you'll hear about that will be equally as exciting.
How do you feel about it being the last season?
I think, like everybody, I think it feels appropriate. It feels like it's been such a successful, exciting story. Every story has to end. It feels like it's the right time. Mm-hmm. It's been, I think I said at the beginning, we started this in 2016. So eight years later, 66 episodes. It's
such a different world. Lots happened.
A lot, right? I agreed. And it feels appropriate. Obviously, everybody's going to be sad to see the end of this. But, there's going to be more within the franchise. And I think we're super, super proud. At the end of the day, I think we'll be really, really proud of it.
Forever.
It just feels like forever, and it feels like the right time to wrap it up.
Do you have a season that might have been like the most challenging to produce for yourself?
So challenging, obviously the first season's always challenging, just trying to launch it, build it, put it all together. But The most challenging from production was through COVID. I mean, COVID was just so hard. And a show like this, there were so many restrictions here relative to the number of background performers you could have on set. We were shooting, the whole Chicago sequence during COVID, and we're trying to do that without being able to put background performers in the show. And so directors had to shoot just try to find a way to make it feel chaotic and busy. And the testing was onerous, and it was really, really hard and exhausting.
Was that an everyday test type of?
It was like sometimes multiple tests a day.
Wow, okay.
That had to be very expensive.
It was extremely expensive, extremely exhausting. People are wearing masks all the time, so you get tired. You're not getting and then we would always have delays in the schedule because someone would get COVID, right? And then you have to go and figure it all out, locations and reset.
What a nightmare!
It was really,
thank
really,
God you're on the other side of that, but.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like a long time ago now, but I don't think we'll ever forget how challenging that was, that period, just to keep production going.
Yeah. I mean, it was great though. Like you said, the Chicago scenes, I think we saw a picture of the reality of 8 people in the scene, and then the actual on screen, the computers, whatever, made it look like it was a ton of people. So it did a great job, but...
I think it forced everybody to think of new ways to tell a story, right? Where you just don't have the tools you're used to. And I think, that's where this post-production team and, the creative producers just come up with great ideas and found a way to really sell all of that. And I think it looked great at the end of the day, but it was a really, really tough season.
Do you schedule everything?
In terms of the shooting days? No, that's mostly done by our assistant directors and that team. They normally will take the scripts and they'll break it down into a schedule and then work with the directors and, the DPs and the rest of the production team to try and schedule it. And obviously it's always in some way driven by the budget we have and how much money we're able to spend. So it's often trying to fit the scripts into the box we have. And that's, once again, just another collaborative part of the whole process.
That must be so difficult trying to work out everyone's schedules and...
Yeah, but they're,
couldn't even think about
they're
that.
just so, once again, they're just so talented. I mean,
busy people too.
Yeah. And we have cast who are guest cast and
then Lizzie goes and have a baby.
It's just,
come on.
There's always something, but it's part of the magic of it all. And it's part of, why you hire the best of the best, and they figure out every challenge, every problem, everything. There's a solution, and it takes a lot of people to figure it out.
A lot of problem solving in this business, we learned.
There's a lot, and there's a lot of problems in this business. So
I guess that leads to it.
Keeps that department busy. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for chatting with us. Thank you so much for showing us around. This has been incredible, honestly.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. I'm so happy, and you came all the way from Australia to be here. So that's very impressive.
Well,
We're grateful.
Have missed it. I would have been very sad if I'd missed it. So.
I'm glad that you got her so that we could finally meet.
I know. Yes.
That's
Giving
amazing. That's amazing. Well, you'll have a great couple days here for sure.
Definitely.
The sets are amazing. Everything's amazing. The people are all great. We're super happy
Maureen's
to be here.
amazing.
Maureen's amazing. And we're really happy to have you here. I hope you enjoy it.
Well, have a good day.
Thank you very much.
And we'll have to chat after season 6.
All right. Thank you.